We shall come back and comment on that top story then, the immigration one, in just a couple of minutes, but I shall move on if you'll indulge me, because Boris Johnson, we know, don't we, I was going to say he's in trouble. He's always in trouble. When is somebody leaving him alone? I don't know. He always seems to be doing something wrong. Anyway, now what they're saying is that perhaps his resignation honours list basically should be scrapped because of the allegations around Partygate, etc. I'll start with you, because you are a Lord, after all. Well, what do you think? Should his resignation list be honoured?
Well, I want to put this in context. Back in the days of the Roman Empire, which Boris knows all about, there was this thing called...
You know that I go off air at 7, don't you?
There's this thing called damnation of memory, where one emperor would come in, and the first thing they'd do is they'd take the predecessor, unless it was the father, they'd take the predecessor and they'd scrap everything. Statues were smashed, the names were cut out of the inscriptions, and they put out all this propaganda, got the writers to write about what a terrible person he was, and so on. Right. And this is what we're seeing happening to Boris at the moment, and it's entirely political. And the idea that you then go for the people, these people are people who worked for the Prime Minister in Downing Street, most of them. I don't know who they are, I mean, I haven't seen the names. But a resignation honours list is normally people who worked for the Prime Minister. It goes right down to the cleaners and, the security guards with different types of honours. And they're going to be punished because these people are so vicious about Boris that they'd like to punish them just because they hate him, and it needs to stop.
Aaron?
Well, I broadly agree. I think it's a very slippery slope when we start to say that, oh, well, one Prime Minister's gone, their successor should basically undo some key decisions and not, give favours to the people that they favoured. I mean, we can't operate like that. So each Prime Minister successively would treat their predecessor like that. We have enough dysfunction in this country when it comes to politics that I think we probably shouldn't be adding to it at this point. I say dysfunction, enmity, discord. Why create more of that? I mean, I have criticisms more broadly of the honours list and how it functions. For instance, David Cameron, I think, gave an OBE to his hairdresser, something like that. I probably don't think that's quite right.
Well, it was a very good hairdresser.
Yeah, and also it can be unfair to sort of criticise a broader thing because of one example. But in this case, I agree.
What was your qualification for being made a Lord?
I don't know you have qualifications for being made Lords, because sometimes people are made Lords as an honour. Like, I came in with Ian Botham, and he was obviously being honoured for his cricketing skills, and he hasn't participated much in the work of the House of Lords. And the other people go in as working peers, and I went in as a working peer to do the work. I do the work. It's a full-time job for me, at least for a few years. And I suppose it's because Boris thought I was able to do it. And to be perfectly honest, I'm quite reasonably good at it.
See, I
rather enjoy it.
I don't agree with this principle that people do their job and then they get awarded this honour of whatever level just for literally doing their job.
Well, they might have done more than their job. You haven't seen who's on the list yet.
Well, I'm talking about historically. You were talking about hairdressers.
Well, if they was a very good hairdresser, might deserve an honour.
Oh, come on. I mean, I know you don't think that.
I'm struggling to take it seriously because I sit there, for example, Liz Truss, a woman that was in office for 44 days or whatever it was, there or thereabouts, she will get a resignation list as well. It's a little bit silly.
You need to look at the whole picture. The whole honours system, which is what the Prime Ministers get in their resignation honours, is a tiny part of what's done in the New Year's honours and the birthdays honours when you have more than 1,000 names coming out. Nearly, huge numbers of them.
No, I would get rid of all of it.
I know you would, but you're wrong. Huge numbers of them are people who've worked in charity, who've worked in the local communities. They're from all parts of the country. It's one of the few things that does actually reach out very deliberately through the whole of the country. They're people sometimes very distinguished in their field, professors, people who've won Nobel Prizes and things like that. What is the harm in recognising them and giving them some sort of honour? It's some letters after the name. If it means nothing to you, you don't have to accept it. You can politely reply and say, I'd rather not have it. And if it does mean something.
So how does it work then?
Fine.
Maybe I've got maybe I'm not understanding the full picture. So if you're honoured to whatever level, can you then wander into your House of Lords and get your £300 a day?
No. Well, if you're made a member of the House of Lords and you turn up and work, you can earn the money that is paid to people for working. There's nothing strange about paying people for working. And you're entitled to do that. The number of people put into the House of Lords is a tiny fraction of the number of people who get MBEs, OBEs, CBEs,
very big second chamber, though,
all sorts of things like that.
I think the only second chamber that's bigger than us is China, isn't it?
Well, I think that's their first chamber. It's big. It's a bit bigger than the House of Commons. It's nearly 800, high 700s. The House of Commons is 650. But the appointments are there for life. We might not like that, but that's
no,
what
I
they're there
definitely
for.
don't like that. I think
They're there
that's deeply
for life, and
inappropriate.
there's quite a lot of people who, as they get older, they don't turn up, and they're not contributing.
Listen,
so how many do you need to do the job? My reckoning is you need a minimum of 400 to do the job, with all the legislation and the committees and so on. You need a minimum of 400 full-time equivalents. And in a place like the House of Lords, you need about 750 to get your 400 full-time equivalents. If you don't want that, have full-time politicians, pay them proper salaries, give them staff. We don't get any staff, we don't get secretaries or anything like that. Give them staff, give them proper offices, and let them do that, and then pay for it.
Well, he's making the case for the continuation of the system as it stands. I don't agree, I'm afraid. He didn't convince me. Did he convince you at home? He reckons I'm wrong. Am I? I don't know.
I think you're wrong about people up and down the country. You said you didn't approve of people up and down the country who are working in charities, and sometimes lollipop people, other people like, all sorts of people, and professors and people.
I like the way
who've
he said
won Nobel
lollipop
Prizes.
people there, not lollipop lady, because I would have had an issue. You can't, what's the word, stereotype these days. So
I'm very woke.
You are very right on.
The woke Tory Lord.
Yeah, exactly.
I said
a lollipop
people, lollipop people, and you don't want them rewarded after years of holding that up. You don't want them to be recognised in their community. You don't want them to have their party and, around the community centre having a party to celebrate their
Listen,
OBE.
I am
it's
all
harmless,
for...
but it gives people huge pleasure and a sense of reward and a sense of belonging.
I'm
Good
all
luck
for recognising contribution, decent, good contributions, particularly in the charity sector and all the rest of it. But this honours system, is that really the right way of doing it?